Welcome once again for another episode of Phil and John's VIP. Thank you for joining me on this Saturday night. I am Phil and John, your host. It is a pleasure once again to go live on a Saturday night to bring you some people that I love and just admire in this industry, and people who are not in the industry but are doing great things in the world. And those are the kind of people that I want to bring and introduce to all of you who come on my platform to have a conversation with me. Tonight I'm super excited because I got a brother who I've known now for over 20 years, close to 25, maybe longer than that. You know, sometimes my math could be a little bit off, but we've known each other for a very, very long time. Our connection expands decades, and this brother has been just a musical force on the underground scene. I said in his bio that he is a perfect blend of rock, reggae, and soul infused, a good infusion. And he sings from the soul. He's a very spiritual brother. And if you've listened to his music, you will see that all of who he is just it encompassed in one person. And he gives it all to you through the lyrics, through the music himself. He gives it all to you in the lyrics. And if you listen carefully, you might be able to learn something about yourself and the world. So without further ado, I see that he entered the room. I want to bring on this phenomenal talent, this gifted brother, this very, what I will call almost like a musical missionary. I would like to call him that. And I would like to introduce you and reintroduce to others. Some people may know him through the scene in the DMV area, all around the DMV area. He is a New York City born artist, straight out of the Bronx, the boogie down. It's my brother, Jahiti. So I'm about to bring him in really quick. Let's see. Where are you at? Jahiti. About to bring you in. Jahiti, where you at, brother? Where you at? Hope you close. You coming? You coming? There you go. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, Phil,
What's up, brother?
how you doing, man?
Thank you for joining me tonight, man. I'm blessed. I can't complain. How's everything with you?
I am well. Thank you for asking me to be a part of this. And
Yes,
you've
sir.
been in and meeting and sharing a whole bunch of amazing people. So I'm honored to be a part of the legacy of what you're doing.
It's been a while. I've been wanting a Jahiti interview for a long time now, and I was like, I got to make sure that I get him in because I really want to talk to you about some things. And it's so interesting. Just let me just share this before we get into it. Um, Jahiti and I kind of discovered each other, I think, in the artistic community in Baltimore, because it was kind of like we didn't really know that we did what we did until one day we happened to be at the same place, sharing the same space,
Yeah.
and then appreciating each other's gifts. So for me, I just want to say thank you, brother, because I mean I'm so glad that we're able to share in each other's lives on this level.
Yes, sir. That was Warm Wednesday, wasn't it?
That was one Wednesday.
All right. And And so what's so interesting is I was at an event for Black Root and J Pope are dropping a joint project. They had a listening party at Grasshoppers
Yeah.
establishment, and Walt came through. And we're on the other side of the room, and I'm looking at Walt, and I'm like, does this guy know that he is 1/3 responsible for my legacy? He prepared a stage for 15 years that I was all on that stage.
Yeah.
He allowed thousands of people to say, and I said, yo, and I know I've said it to him before, but it was just that moment. I said, yo, Walt, man, thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that was a unique. I was like, what you doing in here?
And Walt, let me just say, Maxwell Jones is like a brother to me, and I think we should, the beautiful thing about that community, especially at that time, is I feel like we all shared in one another's creativity, and I
Yeah,
think we all respected each other and what we had to offer to the creative community there, and still do.
yeah, yeah. It was, you know, what's so interesting when it comes to art, right? And the majors or whom more people know, right? It's it's so interesting to have been a part of a poetry scene from DC to Baltimore. There was a time where there were multiple events going on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Truly.
Within a 40-mile radius.
Yeah.
And it was hot, you know, fertile ground. And, you know, that's the whole era. If you young and you don't know, let me tell you, that's the era of, you know, it's the 90s. You know, it's the 2000s, you know?
Yeah.
It was a hot time, you know, and it's so amazing that a few of us got plucked out, especially in that poetry world. Raheem Devon is from that world, you know. He was at Coppin with us, you know what I mean? Like he lived in the dorm with me. I remember him, you know. I can't even right now. I'm going. Mamuna was young, but she was still there. Mamuna Youssef, on the back of her mom's legacy, and everybody knew her mom, right? So Brown, you know, it was a hot time, man, and it allowed all of us to sharpen our sword and to see, like, oh, yeah, I better get my thing right, you know.
Right.
You know,
absolutely. And I gotta say, for me, I came through Tiff Salim and Poetology.
Okay.
So shout out to like people like Lamar Hill. You know, one thing I give Lamar Hill credit for is returning me back to what I consider to be my first love, which is acting. Yeah. And I remember working with him for the very first time and thought that this is the shift that is happening in my life. It's going to take me in a different direction. And it did.
Listen, I mean, we literally could have a whole conversation about that era, right? Yeah. Because Lamont Hill, he is a giant.
Yeah.
Salam AC, these guys are giants.
Yeah.
And so, you know, have been on Poetry Def Jam and other people's albums and toured the world and poetry.
And Sonya Renee, if you remember, like Sonya Renee, who's now world renowned. You know, I got people in my own industry that comes to me and says, "Yo, I love Sonya. I think she's brilliant, and she's traveled the world and she continues to uplift and celebrate women." So shout out to Sonya Renee, man. And all of this started in that one little hub. You know what I mean? And Jahipster and all of these people that would come out, man, like, yo, I'm telling you, you would go in even as an artist, but you would be able to go as an audience member and sit there and just be inspired.
Yeah, it was a high caliber, it was a high level of talent at something that was supposed to be local.
Yeah.
Right? Supposed to be something where these people are learning to refine their art. And we were still, but it was at a high level. So it was like, you know, it was very weird, you know. So then it really just came down to who had the business infrastructure. You know, it really wasn't talent at that point, you know, it's just business infrastructure. And, you know, so that's interesting, you know, part of, you know, being able to speak with you today, you know, and I was just really just reflecting and doing a prep on my live for this live and started to go into some of those stuff about how do you honor your legacy, how do you honor your beginning, how do you recreate or reconnect with the people who love your music or your art, you know. So yeah, man, it's we're lucky, because there's a lot of places, you know. New York is New York, but I mean, I'm sure I can ask. I know the guys we're talking about, they said it, you know, DMV, you know. So give thanks for that, man. It's time for a renaissance, right?
Absolutely. I'm glad, but you know what? I feel like the beauty about it, I feel like there's this still kind of like, it's still this creative energy still happening at a different level now. You know, I feel like it's still there, but it's just, you know, sometimes I feel like you're so close to the people who've kind of been in your circle of artists that a lot of times people become household names and you don't even realize it because you're just that close to them. Not until somebody outside says their name do we realize, wow, you've done a lot. You've accomplished a lot. And let me just say, to be able to plumb through the music on Instagram and see just a ledger of Jahiti's music is a big deal for me.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. It is it's all thanks to the Most High, right?
Yeah. You know? So you're originally from the Bronx, right?
Originally from the Bronx, born in Einstein Hospital, February 8th, 1976 at 1:57 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, so born in the Bronx, parents are Jamaican. I say by the time I was 2, I started flying to Jamaica for the summers. Probably from 2 to 13 every summer, except for maybe 4 of them, I in Jamaica for the 3 months, and then I would come back up for school. And then at 13, I was in Jamaica. I come back home, and this is really a core memory, and I believe part of what makes me who I am. I was born an only child, and I have siblings now, but for the longest time, I was an only child.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the next mark on some of how I am happens at 13. I go to Jamaica. My parents were looking for a home, but I come back, and we're moving to Pennsylvania the very next week. I never got a chance to say goodbye to my friends.
Yeah,
They don't even know what happened to me. I didn't know I was leaving. So it's like a whole chapter completely closes, no connection to anybody in New York that if you're not related to me. And now I'm in a predominantly white neighborhood where I now am being called nigga. Like people are threatening my brother, grown men telling they're gonna kill us. Like it was very different from the Bronx and Jamaica. Maybe I was too young, but in the Bronx, we didn't really look at, one of the things, we were young. I was young, right? But we didn't have a race thing. You know what I mean? It was an Italian guy next door, the Puerto Ricans across the street, the Guyanese across the street.
It's like a melting pot of the, it's like the diaspora is in the city of New York.
Yeah.
So your palate, I always tell people, your palate is it's familiar with so many different kinds of foods, and you experience in so many different cultures, ethnic cultures, that it's different when you go someplace and there is none.
Yeah, and so Bucks County was real.
yeah.
It was completely different, but I appreciate that now, because who gets a chance to live in the Bronx, New York, live summers in Jamaica, and then be in a graduating class of 950 something students, be one of, there was probably 60 Black people.
Right.
And that experience, and then going from there to I gotta balance that out.
Yeah.
Go to a prominently historically Black college after that.
So were you always in a musical family, or how did that come about?
So the thing is, my family is very musical, but it was always wrapped into, we're 7-day Adventists. Well, I'm not a Christian, but for real, religions have so much good and whatever, right? So I was born a 7-day Adventist, meaning Friday night, and for real, like especially in Jamaica, Friday night ain't no TV,
right?
From till Saturday night. So Friday nights was singing down prayer. I surrender all of them, and so singing, we're all around praying and singing. That's really what it was, a lot of singing, a cappella, but a lot of singing. So I grew up with that. And so interesting thing. So I have cousins who were in bands together, but I would probably call out my cousin Mark DeLissa, who was the musical director for Harry and Meghan, the royal family's wedding. He's actually on stage singing in the back in the wedding.
What, he's a member of the Kingdom Choir in London?
I don't know, but I'm gonna say yes.
Okay.
So once again, he's like my cousin. Like I don't even realize what he's doing until they were like, Mark is the musical director for the royal wedding. I'm like, what? And a sidebar: during the election, I live in Wilmington. The president's from Wilmington, so the world came to Wilmington. And I remember there were these British reporters, and I was so proud of my cousin, because I think the wedding had just happened or somewhere around that. And I said, hey, do you know Mark DeLissa? He's my cousin. He did the royal wedding. And now knowing what we know about how they were treated, man, them people I could see on their face, like, We don't care. Like, they didn't care about that wedding. It was so weird, but I couldn't place it because I don't know this racist thing that's going on in England. I just knew something was weird about their response. I'm like, oh, whatever. Maybe I'm bugging. Who cares about my cousin? So, but long story short, I grew up in a musical family. You know, a second note, I have a cousin named Pernell Charles, who is a minister in Jamaica in the government. And he just posted him playing the accordion piano for the first time. So I grew up in a musical family, but it wasn't in your face. You know what I mean? It wasn't like instruments around and stuff like that. It was really rooted in praising the Most High. You know what I mean? It was really just in spiritual praising and giving thanks to God more than like we're a band and mics in front of us and all that type of stuff.
So that's where the infusion of whenever I talk about your music and what you do, I can't talk about your music without talking about spirituality, because I feel like your music is infused with that.
Yes,
right?
Thank you.
So do you feel like it was a thing that you chose? Because when I introduced you to that, I said it was almost like a music ministry, because that's what I feel like. I feel like every time you hit the stage, you come in with something to say.
Yes,
every time you hit the stage, even when you was with Brown Fish, it would be just an uproar in the audience based on the lyrics of what you were trying to say. So for you, is it just music or is it deeper than that?
It's deeper than that, because when I first started, James Collins and Fertile Ground, I remember when people would say, hey, that was good or something like that. I didn't know what to do. Like, I used to go from stage immediately outside because I wasn't doing it for someone to tell me it was good. I was really just, I don't know why I was on the stage. I was just sharing, right? So my first song is on one string. So I didn't even perfect the guitar. I've never taken a guitar lessons nor singing lessons, right? Well, that's not. I took a guitar lessons 1 hour for 8 weeks, me and U, right? And I think we missed 4 of them sessions. And so I don't know why I was doing it. Something in me wanted to come out, but I didn't know how to deal with people saying stuff about it because I wasn't prepared for that part. You know, just saying it was good, right? So it's really just the Most High wanted me up there, you know, something with that. And then I had to then it was like, oh, you can make money off of this. You know, I prayed for Brown Fish. I asked the Most High to be able to put me in connection with people who we can come together and do music, but we all do our own individual thing. I prayed for that. And that's exactly what I got with my group. You know, it was amazing with all of us on there, but each and every one of us could go up and book a show by ourselves and hold a crowd by ourselves, you know? And so it was just you know, I don't write intentionally. I don't sit down and say I'm writing sessions. I don't do that. So I pretty much, when the Most High want me to have a song in my heart, that's when it's coming. I don't, a lot of these songs is written in one take. There's no, let me change that word. I don't, it's not that, you know, it's, I'm and I'm like, oh, I like that.
I think I mentioned, we spoke, you know, a lot of times if I feel like I'm repeating myself, please forgive me, because I know we spoke a couple of nights prior, but I remember you mentioning something like that. And I said, you know, I remember going to a woman who talked about spirit writing, right? So a lot of times, even as, whether you're writing music or poetry, or whether you're writing stories, a novel, a lot of the things that we write is from spirit. It's not that we sit down and we say, we want to plan and to write this. When spirit gives it to us, that's when we begin to write.
I can tell you a song that I intentionally wrote, and there may be a few other. Well, Black Icarus is a song that U and I intentionally wrote. Olu had invited us to, I think it was the American Dictionary Museum. I think that was. And she had an installment of Icarus, and she was like, she wants us to write a song to this. It was 24 hours before we were supposed to have this song. He's cooking with Park Heights, doors open, the sun is coming through. Man, I'm sitting there with the guitar, and the hook just comes to me, and he decides that he wants to write about his father. And interesting enough, tomorrow I'll be in Baltimore because the film that Jimmy Thomas from Curators of Hip Hop created a movie based on that film. So that was intentional. There's another song called the Protest Song, which is released on SoundCloud. That's intentional. I don't like to write the same song, right? So I felt like I wrote about police brutality in Fishbowl already. But when I heard Prince was writing a song, I said, what Prince writing a song for? I said, well, if Prince writing a song, I'm here. I'm actually, as a member of the 300 Men of Baltimore, I'm on day 2 on ground on Pennsylvania and North Avenue looking at babies, trying to console my babies. If he goes where Minnesota, wherever he was from, I gotta write a song. So I wrote that intentionally. And at that time, U had passed away. So I was able to, through the magic of technology, get him on that song. So those 2 songs off the top of my head were very intentional songs for different reasons. But most of them, it's just the Most High put me in a groove and it comes out.
I kind of like Movie Star.
Yeah.
I feel like when I was listening to that, especially based on the current state of affairs when it comes down to our industry now, it's almost like a I feel like you're writing the song from a place of an observer, and you're watching, like you're always watching, you know.
Yeah. You know what? That's very real. I don't know how many songs. First of all, I don't know how many people pick that up. So kudos to you and your ear, right? And but you're a writer, so but yeah, a lot of it is, I'm a social scientist. I've been watching people in a way to observe and learn and document from the time I can remember. I'm talking about like 4 or 5. I've been paying attention to people and they don't even know I'm there. Right. And so a lot of it is me talking about what I'm seeing and what I've seen. And even in the song that I wrote for U when he passed away, it took me almost 1.5 years. And once again, I wasn't going to write something just to write it. It's just when it happened. And it took 1 year. And as I was writing it, you know, those songs are even still me observing him. You know, I would have to go back. Daughter of the Most High, I guess, is me writing about me. I guess, thank you for that, too. Thank you. As a writer, I think I want to try to focus on writing about me a little bit. I think a lot of it is just what I see.
Yes, and you tell the story of what you're observing, and I noticed that a lot about that. So that you know, but the thing about it is that it can impact whoever it applies to.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not. It's for someone.
Oh,
you know?
Oh yeah. We think we're so lonely, and whatever we're going through is so unique. Whatever it is.
But you never. I gotta say this. Just as a person, as a human being, you've always. I feel like you've always picked things apart, and I think that you've always saw things through the third eye. You know, I never felt like you ever like. There's never been a time when you and I've engaged in conversation where I felt like it didn't go to a point where we talked about spirituality, because that's kind of like the root of everything that comes up.
Yeah, well, you know, it's real. You know what I mean? Like, once we get past my car and my house and my clothes and my hat, you know, my relationships with things and people, all of that is secondary to, have you prepared your body so that inspiration doesn't have to fight to get to you?
Right.
Like, are you happy? Because anything, all of what you can acquire, what does it mean if you're not happy?
Yeah.
You know? And so, yeah, it does take some thinking. And I think that's been a struggle with me in music, for real. You know, and just in Brown Fish, there's no doubt we could have been whatever made it. For how long they would have allowed us to make it for? 1 year, 2 years, 4 years, you know.
Right.
You know, but we didn't want to leave because we were working in the school system, and we told ourselves we didn't want to leave our babies. We didn't want to leave, you know. But even now, when I talk to people, they be like, "Yo, man, you're dope. Why don't you just go?" I was like, "Yo." To bring up the song, everything that glitters is not gold. I'm like, it's not really what you think it is. You gone. You're not gonna see your baby boy and baby girl grow. Your wife you're not gonna be around. It's not like you are going to really acquire enough to be flying around on jets, and you know what I mean? Like, even when you think people got money, careers are short. You gotta space that money out, you know? So it is a lot to say at my age, especially 47, you know what I mean? And when we were young enough without responsibilities, our responsibilities were the children we were teaching, and we don't want to leave them. You know what I mean? We had kids that actually lived with us. You know, there were times where kids lived with us because they couldn't be at their home. You know what I mean? So us saying, all right, we believe there wasn't something solid enough for us to say we're going to leave our babies. It wasn't like somebody came and said, yo, I got the contract. Yeah, that's my man. We was going to have to go eat. We was going to have to go work.
Right.
And we had everything that it shouldn't have taken that long, but you don't know.
Right.
You know, so, but yeah, so at the end of the day, I think for me, my mind does bounce back to being attuned to the spirit and our ancestors and not wanting to hurt another human being. You know what I mean? Being right with myself, understanding myself that I don't mash up my wife because I'm off. I don't destroy my son's life because I'm not happy. You know, and so yeah, I give thanks for the opportunity to be able to. I don't have those conversations with everybody though. So, you know, at some point I'll be like, you know, we get into some of the mystic stuff. I don't really share that at all, you know, because we all are attuned to those things, but we're taught as we're growing up, don't believe in certain mystical things. And the thing is, it's scary.
Right.
You got to be mentally right to deal into that world, really, you know.
But it's ancestral too, though.
Yeah.
You know, to the diaspora, it's kind of like. But let me ask you this: do you find would it be safe to say that you're the most free when you're creating music?
I'm most free when I'm performing music. Yeah. And you know what? It's exactly the same thing when I'm competing in track and field. And that was
I forgot about that. Right. Yeah.
That was really what my sport was. But the times I would play on some football touch thing, it's something freeing about allowing your body to have no limitations on its expression. So, you know, I'm performing on stage. I can jump as high as I freaking want to. I feel like it's all out. When I'm running and I mean, like, I still race people. I don't train, but you know, as director of parks, we have a track program in the summer. I'm there on Wednesdays, still in 100 meters racing people. It is something to be able to run as fast as I possibly can to give everything, so much so that I typically, in the beginning of the season, I throw up 10, 15 minutes after that because I'm not training.
Right.
There's no stretching. I'm just jumping on the line, and it's something amazing. And there isn't anything else that I can say I have completely depleted myself. You know, as a writer, can you say you've depleted yourself? Like a word comes to your head or it doesn't. An idea comes into your head or it doesn't.
Right.
You know, it's very few, but physically, you can say I ran as fast as I could. I had nothing else. I punched that bag as hard as I could. I kicked something, you know, and so that is so freeing to me to be on stage. And last week I was at Artscape and performed with Black Waters, and I did a song called Let Me, and I performed it without the guitar. Typically,
Artscape in Baltimore?
Yeah.
Was last week?
If it wasn't last week, it was the week before that.
Wow, I thought Artscape was like in August.
No. It was definitely 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I performed the song that I typically perform with a guitar. No one has ever really seen me perform it without it. So it's interesting to see, people can see it without the guitar, having to hold that. you know, and stay at the mic.
Mhm.
I can move around. But yeah, man, that's what I feel free when I can give all of my body.
I think music, you know, I feel like you're a child of a time where, you know, like the Marvin Gaye's of the world, where when it came to music and songwriting, you went and with the intention of actually having something to say.
Yeah.
So my question is like, what do you think we are now with music? You know, what is music saying today, in your opinion?
It's saying the exact same thing. It's saying the exact same thing, you know, because unless we're talking about music that generates the music business,
Yes.
we're saying that it is exactly the same thing, in my opinion. And most people do not believe that. Most people will fight against that. But here's the thing, mathematic formula, most people believe the music that was created from the time they were 13 to 25 was the greatest music of all time. Every single one of us, and every single one of us
Yeah.
believe the music that came, we'll let it ride up until 26, 27. We
Right.
believe the music that came after that is trash.
Right.
You can
Right.
go back to the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s.
Right.
And so to me, you know, you talk about vulgar lyrics, like, yo, Put It In Your Mouth was a song
Yeah.
in my era. Come on.
Right.
You know, like, so to me, it's exactly the same thing. It's just whoever is the observer believes that, because you know it's a powerful thing, music and movies, for you to have something as you are experiencing life to walk with you and talk.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the first Bob Marley album I ever purchased was at 7-Eleven, and it was Bernie. That's the album called Bernie.
Right.
And at the time, it was the LA Riots. And they have a song on there called Burning and Looting. Now imagine watching the LA Riots. This is my first riot that I'm watching ever. I mean, we weren't there in the 60s, right? This is the first I'm watching. And I know Bob Marley. I know his music. I know One Love. Yeah, I know that.
Right.
I purchased my first album. I put it in, and this man who's dead since 1981 has a song on there that's talking about something that is going on right now. It was so powerful for me. So imagine any artist being able to compete with that. My core memory. And so we all have those little, it may not be as extreme, but we all have these memories where we believe that the industry is something different, or it's not the same quality, but it is.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look in a different place. You know, and music is not really for, when people get older, they don't really like music, yo. You know, because, you know, Nas, I listen to a lot of music, and I can tell you based on charts and what is playing, we don't like Nas for real. The people who say, where's the good music at? We got Nas great. I could call 20 people right now who are my age and be like, yo, you checked out King's Disease 1, 2, 3 or Magic 1, 2. What's that? Last 5
That's true. That's true.
Since 2020? Nah.
True. Yeah.
But music is trash.
That's
so
true.
Our frequency is off. Really, that's really what it is. We should be saying, I don't pay attention to music enough to really give you an honest opinion of the music business.
That's true.
Or not
That's good. You know what?
the
I'm
music
going to use
industry.
that. I'm going to use that because that would be the truth. Because, you know, we do somehow when you have art, music, television, when all that travels with you, like you said, there's an emotional connection that we have to certain things that we can't let go. It's almost like a security blanket because it's familiar and it's comfort.
Yeah.
And we don't want to lose that. We don't want to trade that for anything.
Brother, so you know how crazy we are? We won't even accept music from the artists that we believe are the best. It ain't like they old stuff. Like, yeah,
that's true.
It's
really
good. Nah, it ain't like the stuff. there's a gentleman. So when Prince died, they started releasing some albums, and I wasn't a Prince fan. I was a Michael Jackson fan. So
Right.
I don't know Prince's catalog, right? I know Purple Rain. I know the hits.
Right.
This album, and I'm listening to it. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So I called this guy. I'm like, yo, did you hear the album they just released from Prince? He said, man, I ain't listening to that because Prince didn't release it. I was like, what? Don't you like Prince? You wouldn't listen to the stuff that's in his vault that they just.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, music. That's what I think. I listen to a lot of it. You know what I mean? I listen to mostly stuff. I don't listen to like Lil Uzi Vert. I became a fan of Lil Uzi Vert off of this last album he just released. Prior to that, I never listened to his music.
Right.
Doja Cat, her new album, man, that sister is talented. I would never really listen to. I wouldn't think to listen to her music. So it's there, man. I think it's in it's as it always has been.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the newer artists come out and have something that inspires me. Like I like something that catch me. You know what usually works for me? If I catch it on the movie soundtrack. If I'm watching a movie soundtrack and the song comes on and it grabs me, I'm like, who's that? Then I go looking for the artist. And then I'm introduced to this new artist now who I think is amazing.
Well, that is the magic of really theater and movies and music, right? Where music itself can't do that.
Yeah,
like you can tell. We have some creative writers, but even in that, Slick Rick's what was the Childhood Story? What's that? I forget the name of the title, but the dun, 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 hear his story. Wasn't it? No, that's Will Smith. No. Let me slow down here. Slick Rick. Talking about, hey, the dope fiend, no. I need bullets.
Is that Lottie Dottie?
Huh?
Is that Lottie Dottie? No. I know what you're talking about though. I can't remember the title. I know exactly. I caught the melody of it.
Story. He's telling a story, right? But even as well as that's written, you put actors and scenery with that, it takes it to a whole next level. You know?
Very true.
But listen, I could definitely start sending you some money, man.
Right. Somebody laughing, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. No. All I heard was the story. He had to redo it before I was able to catch it.
No. You caught it right. I started doing that.
Right.
Right.
So yeah.
But yeah, man. It's music is so beautiful. And I definitely could send you some artists. Really, right now, Africa is hot. It is very hard to compete with music that just feels good to your soul with Africa right now. That's not R&B. Like R&B might be able to do it, but we don't have like love R&B. But it's not like be a high yourself. You can make it.
Yeah.
Loves you, and you can bop around and feel good. Africa is producing some really good. You know, the Wiz Kids and the Mr. Easy's and all the various ones out there, man. That's hot right now, Africa.
I'm a fan of Putumayo world music, and sometimes I listen to that, and I'll catch up some from artists. One of my favorite compilations from that is the sounds from all the chocolate lands. So different areas around, West Africa and the Caribbean that produces chocolate, and Afrobeat. Someone said Afrobeat, and that introduces me to world music. You know what I mean? So I can appreciate that. So I got 5 questions that I asked. What'd you say?
I will definitely start sharing with you, bro.
Oh, please do, man. Yeah. Please do. Because you know me, like I'm always creating stuff too, man. So I'm always looking for something new and fresh that hasn't been heard yet. So that when the time comes for me to do my final edits, I'm able to have some music that could support the story that I'm trying to tell.
And let me just put this out here, because I'm pretty sure we've said it casually a couple times, but I want us to be very intentional about us doing something.
Okay.
That would be whack and stupid and not really honoring our friendship and our professionalism if you and I know each other and we don't ever do anything.
I agree.
Right? It'd be like
I
okay.
agree.
It'd be like, They know.
I agree.
So yeah, man. I got a song. You got a script. We can find a camera.
That's right. Oh, that's it. That's it. I mean, like the thing is, like, again, there's a lot of stories that I want to tell. Of course, you know, I can't go into detail about it, but you know, you gotta have. I want original music behind it because I know the power of what the cinema and the music could do. It was. I was watching. I was at a private screening for The Harder They Fall, and CeeLo Green came on during the scene in that movie, and I walked out of there like, yo, it was called, I think, Black Skin Mile. Black Skin Mile. Yeah. And I was like, yo,
I
like, yo,
love that movie.
CeeLo Green is killing that. And I'm like, yo, I'll play that over and over and over again because I'm like, yo, this is the genius that I'm talking about. But if he would have just dropped the album, I would have never bought it, right? I would have heard it. But the fact that I was sitting in the theater watching this screening for the very first time, and that song came on at the exact moment that it came on, and took it to another level.
That soundtrack is one of the greatest soundtracks ever. Well, I want to go. Just take the ever. That is a high quality piece of work. It has opera on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. Yo, that album is really good.
I have to take my hat off to it. Yeah, absolutely. It is.
Literally.
It is. It's dope. It's fire. But let me get to my 5 questions because I got to get through this and I got to ask you before you get off. All right. So I asked 5 questions to all my guests that come on. You can answer them however you want. And first thing I want to know is, can you please tell me something that you know about the industry now that you thought you knew coming in, but you now know differently now? So it's something that you thought this industry was before you got into it, and then now, what was the thing that you learned?
When you see, this is interesting, when you see people performing at the Super Bowl with instruments, they may not be actually playing those instruments. It's of them playing it earlier that they're running.
Yeah.
That in particular, I just learned that preparing for Artscape.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have to play that guitar like that, man. I was like, what? So that literally, that sounds probably topical, but that really, the thought that you weren't going to be on stage giving the people the whole real deal with it, like you lip syncing with the guitar. What? So I'm 47. I just learned that one. Other than, it's I think if I'd add another one is that what you perceive as success is smoke and mirrors.
Ooh.
You know, I would say that.
Somebody said real is not real anymore. True.
It is as real as a diamond ring is valuable. Completely, it has no value. It's smoke and mirror, control of supply and demand.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah.
What advice would you give your 19-year-old self?
What would I tell myself at 19? You know, you can get in trouble. It's okay. Yeah. I think that my mom raised me in a way that I've always been mindful of breaking rules and doing the wrong thing and being obedient, right? And maybe at some places it feels like being religious and you're religious, being a brother but really, yeah, I could have smacked a couple people, yo. I could have got suspended. I could have fought a couple people, and it would have been okay. Yeah. I could have told people what I felt, and it would have been all right. You know, I didn't have to walk away. I could have corrected that person. But really, that's what I would say. But I think I feel very much like that same 19-year-old kid for real.
Yeah.
I still, I don't I don't feel like I've transformed into something that is different than I've been since I was 7 and 8 years old. You know, to be honest with you, if that one thing, I know that fear that I had, like, you can't get in trouble. If you get in trouble, it'll be that. No,
Yeah.
no, go ahead and live, kid. You ain't got to be that stressed out about not making a mistake.
Yeah. Because that's how we grow, right?
Yeah.
That's how we grow. That's where wisdom comes, from mistakes. What would you like your legacy to be?
Say it again.
What would you like your legacy to be?
I would like my legacy to be that I helped other people be recognized and be seen. Right? I'm much interested in being the kingmaker rather than the king. Right? So I would rather, at the end of my life, for a bunch of people to be like, yo, the guy helped me out. He helped me on my journey. He wasn't a major piece. He wasn't my everything. It was a moment where I needed to take a leap, and he was right there, and he helped me, and I kept going. So I would want that to be my legacy at my funeral, for people to say that, you know, he was helpful.
What brings you joy?
Walking with my dogs in the morning, being on stage, moments where I don't anticipate seeing my wife and I run into her. You know, so my wife and I both work for the city, but even prior to that, I've had a few moments where I didn't believe I was going to see her, and I see this human being, and I don't recognize as my wife immediately. And I'm like, what? They're like, oh, gosh, it's my wife. You know, so those don't happen, because normally you know where your people's is, right?
Yeah.
So it happen often, but it does bring me joy when I don't expect to see her and I see her. When I'm on stage, when I'm running, yeah, those are those moments. But I really do like isolation, you know. I really do like being myself,
That's an
you know.
Aquarius thing. I don't know too many Aquarians that don't like their time alone.
Yeah, I really do. You know, even, you know, when U and I had the house and studio together, he was a Gemini, right? Both air signs, but I normally first one down, then he would come down. There might be a whole hour, 2 hours, we don't actually say words.
Yeah.
Right, but if somehow we acknowledge each other, good morning, but it might be the extent of it. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed being around people and not having to talk necessarily, but
Right.
being in our space together, you know?
What are you grateful for?
I am grateful for my family. I am grateful for my family. You know, the Most High just gave me my family. You know, I could have had a whole different family. There's people who are born in all kind of situations. You know, there's times, especially previously working with young men with handgun charges, kids coming home and helping them get acclimated in the community. And, you know, people would be like, hey man, you're successful and da da da. And I'm like, yeah, but it's sort of been a fumble on my part if I wasn't, because I'm born into an amazing family. And, you know, I shared my one cousin, but I have, you know, my uncle's the former prime minister of Jamaica. I have 3 cousins in the Senate. I have a cousin that was in the World Cup. I have a cousin who redid the filtration system for the Golden State Warriors during COVID, which was mimicked throughout the country. I grew up watching amazing people. I was supposed to, it would have been a fumble of the bag. So when I look at people who reach my levels and didn't have what I have, that blows me away, man. I'd be like, yo, that's dope. And I only have what I have because of my family. You know what I mean? I can't fail because God made my mother and my father who they are, and my family who they are. You know, so yeah, ultimately, I would add in there, and my family that I choose. You know what I mean? My family by blood, and my family that I choose is what I am 100% grateful for.
That is a blessing, man. Not too many people could share that story, you know. But that's a blessing, and I think, you know, when you have a solid foundation, and it kind of sets you into place to win. It sets you up for success, and whatever you choose. But
And
that's a blessing.
my grandparents were farmers in the country of Jamaica. We're talking bootstrap, dirt, hand, yam.
Yeah,
Made education the most important thing to his children on both sides. My grandparents made sure that their children, they were wise enough to know education is the key. And that's
yeah.
my family. So yeah, it changed my family. My grandparents changed us because education was so important to them. And here we are.
What is the number one thing you tell the young people who you feel that have aspirations to become artists? What do you say to them?
You know, I don't really get an opportunity to speak to them, but a lot of times I just tell them that I'm 47 years old and I remember that energy. And I'm just thankful that I could just hang out with you guys for a little bit. You know, I don't really say too much to them because really it don't mean nothing. You know, it don't mean anything. You know, I really would need to know. No, I don't know any young artists well enough for them to tell me what is it that they want to do, for me to offer them advice to help them on their way. Anything else is sort of unsolicited, and you know, yeah. Hey, give up. I saw that. God first. Yes, give that.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was. I want to say, just in the nature of the whole conversation, as deep as we got about spirituality and all that, that was implied,
yeah.
right? But and one day we'll get to a place where you don't say God first because it's already implied. But
Absolutely, truly.
I've never had that. But I would just tell them I would need to know what they want to do,
Yeah,
right? That's really what it is. So there's a young artist here in Wilmington, and I say to him, like, there's smoke and mirror things that don't cost that much money that you can do that makes it seem like you're on your way.
right.
Take advantage of all the AI tools. Take advantage. If you don't have a team, you're not going to make it without a team. It's impossible. If you are supposed to be an artist creating and you're doing the business, make sure you write some songs about that to take advantage of it. But at some point, it's not going to work. So take advantage of the AI network. Build partnerships. I would say part of the reason why people know Brownfish is because, once again, we were like Wu-Tang. And part of the reason Wu-Tang's success is because they was like Motown.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you link up with groups of people and you guys are sharing it in your art, you will be better.
True.
So find people who want to produce, do what you do, all link
Find
up
your tribe.
and just
Find your tribe. That's it.
find your
That's
tribe.
it.
That would be it.
That's it.
Find your tribe.
Well, brother, thank you so much
Hey, my
for joining me
thank,
tonight.
thank
Thank you. And you know what? Let me tell you something. I feel like I want to be able to just say thank you for always being a source of inspiration to me, because I watch how you move and I see what you've done and I've seen what you're going to continue to do. And I just want to say thank you. It's good to be in good company.
Brother John. I appreciate you, brother, Mr. John, brother Phil. Yes. Listen, I'm gonna say thank you again, and I'm gonna mess with you a little bit here, and I'm gonna do something, and then I'm gonna X out of here, right? So
Oh, I'm scared. I'm nervous. All right, Brad. Stay blessed.